Peace, family. Peace, love, and black power. It's your boy, Brian, the creator. I'm the design director at Get This Wisdom, and I'm here with the founder, owner, Shakti Sterner. And we are going to be speaking with Q Butter. And I'm especially excited to get with Q Butter. He does a lot for the community. I have a lot of respect for this dude. I kind of been like watching him, you know what I'm saying, and going in a circle, and I'm, manifested, actually been able to have a conversation with him. So it's got me super excited. I'm super hype about it. I feel like I'm kind of like a junior Q, you know what I'm saying? Like I kind of want to grow into a Q Butter. I can't sit here and say I've done nearly as much as this brother has done, but all the programs that he has going is just really amazing, and academic achievement is important, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I gave the show the name Vibranium Cranium. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about running with that a couple more times because that's kind of hot, you know what I'm saying, with the Black Panther film and all of that out. You know what I'm saying? That being one of the most powerful sources in the resources in the universe. And you know what I'm saying? And like your mind is like the most powerful thing, and you should never waste it. So we're going to get it in today. We're going to talk about his program, his institute, you know what I'm saying, where he gets the multiple programs going on. I did catch it. He had a GoFundMe that seemed like it's doing successful. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people try to do GoFundMe campaigns, and they don't always turn out too well. And it looks like he's doing pretty good. So that's pretty dope. It's gonna get lit, family. So I'm ready to get going. You know what I'm saying? What about you, Shakti?
Yeah, most definitely. Everybody know I had my own feelings about Black Panther and all that, but ultimately that the concept of what vibranium is signifies what we have naturally within us, which is melanin. So, it definitely works, and it ties it all in. I sit back and I just observe the beauty going on in the community, such as what Q Butter's doing, and what Baba Amin has going on down there in Fort Worth, and I believe, one second, the name is slipping my mind, but however, the point I'm getting to is the people who are leading the forefront, the boots on the ground per se of the African liberation education movement right now. They have, in my thoughts, one of, if not the most powerful role right now, one of the most powerful roles, because we have been removed so much from our organic way of living, and that happens through the devil's trick knowledge. We got taught the wrong things by taking in the wrong foods. And those don't just have to be the foods that you're eating. Those are the mental foods, the spiritual foods. We've been taking in the wrong foods for so long. So we have our people and this is many generations, but we're looking specifically at the generation we're in, the generation up under us, and the babies coming from that. And we generally as a collective don't have that grounded energy within African education, African spirituality. We don't have that element. We're missing the biggest part of us. When we look at, when we say Africa being a motherland, it's bigger than land masses and the origins that come in there. If you look into it in a deeper level, when a child is within the mother, it's connected through the womb. It has the umbilical cord that connects it to the mother inside. And when that child is snatched from its mother's womb, and the umbilical cord is snatched and everything is severed, there is a disconnection going on. We have a big disconnect going on amongst our people, and people wonder why we're not getting along as we should, because we have been snatched from our mother, both literally and figuratively and symbolically, So moving through the movement of African-centered education is something that is necessary and vital if we're going to keep moving forward and progressing as a people. So I know I got long-winded right there.
Oh no, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? We just kicking it into till our boys show up. So what, like, cause like me, I was like successful when I was in like school. It's been a minute since I talked about school. Like it's crazy, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm still young, you know what I'm saying? I've only been out of school for like a decade, you know what I'm saying? But like I graduated in '07, so you know, but that being said, you know, I achieved greatness in like writing and art. I used to teach kids I used to teach the underclassmen and stuff, you know, and tutor them on the writing and the reading. Like all of my, like we had the CATS test is what it's called here, the assessment that we have, that the school assessment that determines, you know, which schools are performing well, you know. I got awards and all that. Like I was decorated with like medals and stuff for doing high on reading and writing specifically all through that. You know what I'm saying? Like what about you? Like what was like your academic achievement when you were like in school and stuff?
No, I was a nerd. I was the biggest geek ever. I was like a cool geek. Like I don't know how that even worked out. I knew a lot of people, but I didn't like them. You know, they knew me. I kept my distance, and I was a nerd. I did, you know, I excelled just as you in reading and writing and what we call English. I also was a part of academic games for a long time, and that's actually a team of students that do mental games based off of word equations and things of that thing. That was real dope. I was on a chess team in high school. Like I was a real big nerd, you know. So um, even with all that, you know, that I was able to achieve in my quote unquote school career, I never really cared about it, honestly. It was a missing energy there. It was like plain, standard, boring. You're gonna learn what everybody else learns, blah blah blah, you know. And it was just boring to me, you know, and that's why I left school. I didn't graduate. I left school in my 11th year. It was boring to me. It was like redundant, and that's what I see as a problem amongst our community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
The children become bored. This is not something that is really engaging them. The children need hands-on activity. They need diversity. Some children are more visual learners, you know, and that's not happening. And a lot of children are disengaged and bored. So that's when this whole ADHD thing pops in. A child wants to play and utilize the energy that they have, and now that they're being children, they're being told that, oh, you're sick because the children are bored, you know. And
Right.
I hope that, you know, that I hope I'm not going outside of the question, but
Nah, because I can relate to that. Because I was the same way. Like you know, I achieved some great, but like I missed. I'm gonna tell you how bad it was for me because I know exactly what you're saying. I got so bored with school that like it was a year that I missed like over 120, 130 days or something. Like I can't remember how many days we're actually in school, but I used to miss a lot of school. You know what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I did not want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would come around and people would be like, cause everybody knew me, but like people would be like, bro, we thought you were dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't been here in so long. We didn't know what happened to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, only the people who knew me knew what was going on. They would be coming back. I would just go to my teachers and I would do stuff like, and I'm not saying anybody should do what I did, but I would like go to them and be like, look, I know I missed a lot, so I can make up my work. Or if you want me to write a paper to show that I understand the material, if that's what you want to do, then you know, give me a grade, whatever grade I get on the paper, that be my grade. I gotta pass the final in my paper. You know, I'm saying? Like work deals out until if that's what you want to do, until I get there. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy. Like you know what I'm saying? But
Definitely.
we got the King Q in the building. Q Butter. Well, peace, God. Peace. Can you hear us? I don't think he's ready for us yet.
Hello?
But there you go. Peace, God. Nah, his mic is muted again. Okay, yeah, he's not ready for us, but yeah, so like I would, yeah, all of that. Like I would like get those conversations started, and that's how I forged my way through school. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely is. They have to do something different people can't learn in that format anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that we can get creative with and implement another way. You know what I'm saying? I know Q got a lot to say about that, as he's probably about one of the most creative brothers I've seen in the academic space in this in the movement. You know what I'm saying? So, peace, God. What's going on, brother? Q.
He's probably still getting prepared.
Yeah, still getting set up. Good. But yeah, though. So yeah, you didn't. I don't feel like you went off subject. You definitely nailed a pain point there.
Yeah, he'll be jumping back on. I did the same thing. That would I'm going to reveal something that I don't normally do in a public way. I was always a scholarship student, A's, B's, never really got any C's. D's weren't allowed in the household. My parents were very strict on what they thought was education, no disrespect. And so when I get to high school, it's a whole different thing for me. I got a whole different sense of freedom. I'm not living at home anymore. I'm living with my big brother. I'm doing me. And I had the easiest schedule in the world. I had a 1 to 6, first hour being art and last hour being gym. And since I was so bored already and I had been doing this so long, all my childhood, I'm at the point where I'm 14, 15 years old. I'm literally tired. This is done. I'm not interested anymore. So like you, I would start not even going, I didn't care to go. I didn't care to be there. And, I would come like once a month, once every 2 months, show my face, let them know I'm still breathing. If it's a big test, I would go in there and knock the final out without a problem and go back to doing whatever it was I felt was interesting. And during my 9th grade year, now, mind you, I said I never got any C's, D's, or F's. I got all F's in the first semester. Like, all F's. It was under GPA, there was no numbers. It was just the letters, GPA. And I'm like, I really didn't care. I was never stupid. Maybe I could have made better decisions, but ultimately, if the education process, the God's back, Q Butter, peace, God, how you?
Peace, family, peace, family. I thought my laptop was acting crazy.
No problem. Brother B, I'm gonna let you, handle the conversation.
Okay, peace, God. It's good to see you, brother. I was just saying, we were just talking about our personal experiences with education in the school system, and I'm saying, I was telling them earlier that I was really happy to get to speak with you because I kind of been watching everything you're doing, and I have a whole lot of respect for the institute, and the Zayas Institute and everything that's going on. But for anybody who might not know what that is, I'm saying, go ahead and then introduce yourself and explain about the institute and what it is that you do, King.
Well, peace, family. It's Brother Q Butter. I'm a brother local here, community activist out in Brooklyn, business owner, and I pretty much developed a space, like a learning center space. Inside of the space, we offer our programs that's housed inside of our business called the IExcel Institute. It's formed as a nonprofit in New York. We offer a bunch of, a multitude or rather an array of educational services, anywhere from GED preparatory services, or rather the task, youth enrichment, STEM, adult literacy. And we're looking to add a bunch, way more services. But those are some of our primary services that we offer now. I'm hyped because I just extended the room. I'm sitting in a place now. I just extended the room, so we just built our own computer science lab. So I'm really hype about that. We got like almost 10 computers. Dope. Like I'm mad hype about that. You know what I mean? Going forward from there, we're looking to duplicate what we have here in other cities, and be an example of some of the more practical things you can do with space and immediate sources of funds.
Righteous, man, that is powerful, brother, because I know, like, what I'm saying, a lot of cats here, we had, like, everybody wants to put the face of, like, the Dr. Umar Johnson on the face of the movement. What I'm saying, like, all these dudes is criminals, and I know, like, you preach that more than anybody, which we know we can distinguish the difference. And, like, I'm like, how do people like the the criminals get put on the face. Like, why y'all only want to put the criminals out there and the ones who's taking advantage of it, and not put the cats out here who's really doing something? And like, that's a very, the practical sense of how you take something small and do and be powerful with it and make so many movements, man. That's great. And so like I know you got a GoFundMe, so talk to the people about the GoFundMe, because I looked at it and it looks like it's going pretty well for you. It looks like it's successful.
Yes, it is. We put every dollar to great use. I show that off. I always talk about what we do with it. GoFundMe / the IExcel Institute. We're actually going to be expanding I always keep talking about it, but we're organizing. I wish I was on my laptop. This is killing me. I'm not on my laptop. I want to be able to show you. I don't know what's going on my laptop. For whatever reason, it's not working. However, I guess I could probably show it over the phone or something like that. But what we plan to do with the money, how to actually, organize, and a lot of people are like, yo, Q, you got gold. I should put my gold teeth on. I always supposed to have my gold teeth on. I like to do that just to piss people off. Like, you look mad, Hug. Why are you looking like that? I'm like, look, man, it's not about that. It's about the work, and it's about the the things that you do, with the things that you have. And so what we have received so far with the GoFundMe, shout out to everybody that's donated. And we put it to great use. I'm talking about, like, we can service 10 people with almost everything we do. And I plan this space so that way we can show people what it looks like in a space with, $16,000 in donations, plus what I paid in rent. So you can figure $30,000 in a space that's no more than 150 square feet, 200 square feet. And look at what we can do. We can service 10. I got the GED books, the TAS books. They share in groups. I'm about to push these up. We have 5 of these each one. 2 of the students got 2. We want to push these up to 10, so they can, they even got to share in a group that's 10 each. Everything's in 10, so that way you can see like the pricing of it and get used to saying like, all right, that's a small multiple, but it's an easy multiple to apply to anything else we do. So the GoFundMe not only represents, the collective, portion, but it also shows what the expenses look like. We can show this is exactly, what it will look like to build a space like this. $30,000, 2 years, this is pretty much what it is, and you could do better. Please show me, I gladly take notes, but this is what, it kind of looks like. $16,000, $8,000, $9,000 a year in rent. I'm hyped. This is the computer lab. You know what I'm saying? I'm hyped like that. I can't wait to show this off, man. I'm hyped. I ain't gonna lie, man. You see the computers? You know what I'm saying? That's a pro black lab right here. This Marcus Garvey right here. So look. You know what I'm saying? This is donations. You know what I mean? I got to put the wall up here, so I'm about to build the wall. I'm gonna build the wall live on camera. So you can see we still got to do construction work. But yeah, this is, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna have a microscope hooked up directly to the computer right there. We got the brother coming with the botany science. So I'm hyped. I love this science stuff. When we talk about this, I love it, man. We got the computers, they got the coding, they talking about coding. That right there, look. Look at that wall there. I love this. So they can see, like, look, $500-$600. Look at all these microscopes you can have. You can take 10 kids at a time. And that's what we need to be able to showcase. So the GoFundMe also shows that we're like, this is what they've done with the money, and you can do the same thing if you took this amount of money in this approach. It's nothing, not to say anything, not to say like it's nothing special. You know what I mean? It's just, this is how much it costs. This is what it looks like over time. Shout out to the volunteers. You definitely need a lot of volunteers around helping out and making the movement move forward. So it's not me. It's definitely what happened. It was me by myself. And so just as important as the donations is the volunteership that we have and the morale behind being a volunteer. And so shout out to everybody that's ever volunteered or in here or any organization, because y'all are the heart, and the backbone of organizations like these.
Righteous, man. That is, I'm just over here, like, I'm over here just like, I didn't even want to say anything because I had the camera switch and I'm like trying to look at the lab and everything, and I'm just like, get this grin on my face, man. That's just blowing my mind, dude. Like, it's crazy. That's actual, tangible progress, stuff that you can see. You helping so many people. Talk about coding and everything. Like, I try to get out here. I'm gonna definitely do more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go to the Kumba Academy. So who I am, I'm from Louisville, bro. I just heard you on another show I was watching where you was like, man, I would move to Louisville quick, like tomorrow, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I wrote with Patai and all of them, you know what I'm saying? We down here.
Shout out Ty.
Yeah, fact. Shout out Patai. We Like with all of that, like the coating, they got the Team Treehouse coating where you can, if you got a Louisville library card, you can take your Louisville library card, put your number in on Team Treehouse, and learn how to do whatever coating you want to learn for free. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that I tell people about, and that's just crazy. And I know you want to put together, talk to the people about. I remember you mentioning a platform that you want to put together that people can go and learn, academia. You know what I'm saying? Just get all the academics in from that's something that really works, that teaches and doesn't cost you an arm and a limb, you know what I'm saying, to get to your kids.
Well, yeah, we use a website called IExcel for math and literacy. Math and literacy portion. It's K through 12, synced with New York City and Engage New York's core curriculum. It's not. It doesn't have any gay stuff on there. It doesn't really. Of course, it's white, but it's not OD white. You know what I mean? And we only do math and literacy, so it's only so far they can go with it. We don't really need the science component. We would pay for the science, but the science component doesn't go up to 12th grade levels, nor does the history component. However, it is a great tool, and we want to use that as a model to build our own. And so my goal is to build a website like that. It may cost anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. And with the money that we use that, we can also, if we can raise that type of money, pay for the site, have it up and running for 5 years, and that our plan is to have it up and running 5 years. We can find ways to have the site actually generate money, but at the same time, instead of me having a license, I paid $700 for a license for 50 kids, 50 participants. And last year I paid $300. So I'm already at $1,000 in 2 years usage. And at this growth rate, we'll be using, hopefully next year, twice that. So we'll be already paying damn near $2,000 in 3 years worth of usage. $2,000 is damn near, it could be a major portion of the payment needed to creating a website to some type of equivalent. It may not be able to handle, 100,000 people or 50,000 people at the same time, but there's not that many Black people around the country who homeschool. The conscious community is only so big, and not saying that it's only for the conscious community, but there's only so many people who's going to be using devices and websites like this. And then if it builds up, we can afford to be able to give scholarships for the site or different types of waivers or different things, or even make it extremely free. Like I would love to make everything free, but being able to say like it's $100 per subject on that website. So unless you have a school or a program, if you were a regular parent, you're paying anywhere from $200 to $300 a year to use that website. So even if we can offer the parents something of the equivalent and way more for $25, a year or something of that price, we've already done a major service. And if you can't afford it, you write me an email and then boom, we give you access to it. And that tool gives us the ability to help people not only here, but all over the country. And in the world, people coming from the Caribbean, people coming from Africa, and they may not understand the codified curriculums of America, and they may not understand the structure that they're supposed to have it, or how it's supposed to be delivered, or maybe how to equate the structural administrative way to do it with the education when it comes to curriculums. Boom, our website handles that. And that also gives a way to codify our curriculums across the country, so that way they can see like this is our language arts curriculum, this is our mathematics curriculum, this is our history curriculum. And it's a tool, 3,000 to 5,000 people using it at one time. There's not that many people that I know of right now. I've been talking about homeschooling for a while, and so I got 50 people using our site. So at this growth rate, maybe 300-400 people. So all we need is a website that can handle 1,000, but we would love to have it handle more. But that's kind of one of the goals in using the, website applications to deliver education.
Right, facts, righteous. And see, I do website design. I'm a website designer. I just I'm not gonna be able to code that. I know that. You know what I'm saying? I could help assist in a project like that. I can look and try to find some cats that can do it. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't be able to handle nothing like that by myself. But so I'm gonna get with you on that, because I definitely want to do what I can to make that happen, because I want to see that happen too. That's a righteous attempt. There's another side to this that I want to make sure we touch on, because you also talk about outside of the academics, that business is a big part of getting, and you're part two of a double header tonight. And right before you, we talked to Nataki from Bad Black 365, and she talked about a lot of small businesses that fail and things of that nature. But I heard you say something that really blew my mind. That you said something about the older generation not having enough skill and leaving, what I'm saying, and a lot of them, because he was building on the fact that there's so many people who take advantage of the conscious community as a way to make money to
Hello?
Brian, we can't hear you, brother.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're on mute, brother, but we can't hear you. So while he's figuring out his audio, I'm going to pick up where he left off. He was basically stating that in a previous interview that you spoke to the fact of the elders not having enough skill set to be current in this society. So do you mind adding on to the youth's position and how African-centered education would be the avenue to link that all together?
Well, first and foremost, I would say, and I have an event coming up like with the Black Bank in New York on this Saturday. And so people ask me about, the Black banks and their whole paradoxical position there, and where they have support trying to come in, but they have small accounts, people coming in, putting in $50, $100, not major accounts. And in the small business accounts that they're looking for, a lot of us offer the same type of services. Even myself, unfortunately, not to say unfortunately, I've lasted 10 years in business, but only I was running a music studio. I run a music studio. It's not like I'm doing a technology or things of that nature. And so without the education, unfortunately, we're only going to be held into making salons, daycares, barbershops, and things of that nature. We're not into the high sciences. And so let me see if I can show them. I'm literally writing a proposal as we speak for this on STEM. And we're doing a documentary on it because us being systematically taken out of, to me, it ties into integration. Integration infused us into the glass ceiling, and with being in a glass ceiling in a contained room, and a lot of the things that they gave us to quote unquote help us were actually hindering us from being able to develop and go through the necessary experiences to make us understand what we need to understand in the fields of STEM and sciences. So instead of us making the microchips or making mixers or making devices, we just got used to being a consumer and just buying things. And this trend is not just with the Black community. Unfortunately, it's very much with the Black community. My focus is on with the Black community. But across America, there's tons of things that show that because of the failure to properly educate the community, STEM has left the country. And STEM education in and of itself is what drives money, technology, all of these things are tied in together. The supercomputers that process today's money markets, they had to be designed by somebody. The integrated circuits that's used, the understanding of electricity, all of these things work together. Chemistry, all of these things work together. Medicines, all of these things are intertwined with business. And so when I hear people talk about, I want to get into the weed market, and I'm like, are you getting into weed market to sell weed, or are you getting into weed market to understand the chemicals that's inside of weed to make money off of that? Because that's where people are making money off of weed. Nobody cares about just, there's people selling weed, but there's, the THC and the chemicals inside of it is what's making things to be able to cure cancer or allergy, right? Or supplement some of the drugs that's already in the market that's being used with cancer and other types of diseases of that nature. And so without us having a scientific background, we're only going to go into certain fields. And I literally, I have this on the screen, I'm working on this. I wish my laptop was working. And I figured we was going to, let me see, how do I turn this around? Yeah. I don't know if you can see it, but I literally have this on the screen, spurring African-American STEM, degree competition. This is our STEM proposal. And it's just the statistics is terrible, and it relates directly to business and our profitability. In I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I just read it off. I don't know. Can you see it?
We can see some of it, yeah.
I wish I was on my laptop on my computer. I'm sorry, y'all. It's a terrible way of presenting it. However, I can just read it. In America, STEM education is the backbone of all technological advances. According to the Economics and Statistics Administration of the U.S. Department of Commerce, STEM workers play a key role in understanding the sustained growth and the sustainability of the U.S. economy. Blah, 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 blah. Black Americans are excluded from the field of STEM. Currently in America, an estimated less than 50% of public schools serving predominantly Black students offer physics and or STEM-based educations. This deprivation of STEM education in the Black communities has excluded many Black Americans from pursuing college degrees in sciences, which makes us now to the point where nationally Black people make up less than 8% of those acquiring degrees in STEM. And then further than that, less than 6% of us that actually become employed in the field of STEM. The top employment jobs in the country, the top 20 jobs in the country, I believe 17 or 18 of them are STEM-based. The top businesses in the country are STEM-based. And that's directly hurting our ability to, thrive forward. I've met a lot of people in the Black conscious community, and a lot of people are obsessed with guns. And I'm like, look, bro, you don't even know how to make gunpowder. You don't even understand metal. I'm not, that doesn't, it's 2018, and so we need to promote science and independence and entrepreneurship so we can do, as like you said, create, like everybody wants to see the Wakanda and Vibranium and different things or whatever, comic book shit, but with real life stuff, and so we need that education to be intertwined in it. And so my whole push is STEM, business entrepreneurship, and get into it and intertwining them together so we can maximize on what we do and really understand everything that we're approaching with some of our thoughts. We ain't going nowhere selling shea butter and jewelry beads all day long and little booklets. That's not going to take us nowhere. They gave the conscious community Africa right now, and no internet, a lot of us be lost. We wouldn't know how to pluck out a rock. We wouldn't know how to melt metals. We wouldn't know how to use chemistry. We wouldn't know how to do a lot of stuff. And I come to terms with how little I knew even more in the last year with doing this class, and setting up this space, because I'm like, yo, there's so much information that I don't know. And the people who knew it, they're not being listened to. And then we have so many people in the forefront who are just great, auditors and I don't even say, speakers, lecturers, but like, yo, what are we building, B? If we're not building nothing, if you don't know how to build something, shut your ass up right now. You're just talking.
Indeed.
Facts. Yeah, guys can hear me now? I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. One of my mics went out, so I had to pull out the other one and get it going. But
most definitely, I'm gonna swing it back to Brian real quick. But it's interesting that you went into the proposal that you're currently putting together that includes the STEM knowledge base, because I definitely wanted to get your thoughts on STEM and how that having that solid knowledge foundation in those areas would, how would that look in the empowerment of our future and ultimately the salvation of our culture as it applies to this society and globally. So I think that is great. You went into that, and really briefly, you mentioned that you have an event coming up this Saturday, which we are excited for on your behalf. Do you mind giving us a look into what's going to be taking place at that event, what you're going to be presenting to our family, and what they can expect to walk away with?
Well, the purpose of the event is it's like work, because a lot of people ask me, and like the nut and grains of it, the Black bank still owned by white people. We all know the whole spill. The conscious community, what are they really doing? We all know the whole spill. The coons, what are they doing? So for me, I'll be honest, this is about morale and motivation and push. Us opening up 100 counts with $200-$300 in it ain't shit. And let's be real. Us bringing 200, barbershops there that put in $800 a month, it ain't much. What really matters is the fact that we're coming together to support each other and develop each other. And that's what I want to showcase, that us in the conscious community are connecting the dots. And the first chance we get, one of these dots is going to take us to the next level. And if we just don't work through the grain, work through the hard work, because I've heard all types of sentiments from people. And I know we brought 44 accounts to the bank before, and that was almost $300,000 worth of money. And so we hope that with 100 accounts to 200 accounts, we can be able to say that us with the RBG flag, gold teeth in our mouth from the hood, we brought almost $1 million to the Black Bank. And none of these coons is doing that. And when we start telling, look, y'all actually got real money. You know what I mean? Let's get these people that got these real businesses and let's make moves. You know, and the table is not the same as before. The table is straight up, look, B, what y'all doing with the bread? Look, we know we brought y'all money. No, it ain't much. But how we gonna get to this next table? Is none of this old, I gotta, the bureaucratical bullshit. I'm not with that. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, either they're going, I mess with Carver Bank. I mess with First Nat. There's 19 Black banks left. I mess with all of them. There's not that many banks not to mess with them. And they understand the position. And a lot of these Black banks have white money in them. And not because they own it, just because they're in a neighborhood where there's more white people at. And they can't talk about Black people. They can't even speak up for the issues. They don't know how to speak up for the issues. And so we have to force feed it in a very blatant way. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter if the person is dirty. It doesn't matter how they're dressed. It's just a matter about the message and the work. And so we got to get past that. And so this event right here is going to be an event that, I did this, very small. Imagine if Umar, one of these big wigs, jumped up and really said, yo, we're going to move the whole conscious community to 3 banks. Then the next time Umar Johnson got on camera, he says, look, bro, I know you want to talk your talk, coon, but I just moved $25 million to a Black bank. What are you doing for the Black community? That just made him worth 25 mil because of his influential capabilities and his ability to organize and galvanize his people towards a specific goal. And we need to showcase that in the future. A lot of us love the rhetoric of Marcus Garvey, but I love the organizational skills and his tenacity to accomplish very practical goals. People forget that he did one of the largest to date Black conference was done by Marcus Garvey in the Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? And like, that's like, wow. And we gotta continue to do these things in a very progressive, excuse my language, balls front, attitude, and like make it work. Let's make it work and make it do what it do. And so this event, the swag that we're going to be able to have after this is like, look, man, we just moved $1 million to the Black Bank. No help. We did this with internet. We ain't print one flyer. We did some feeds on YouTube, do some stuff. So imagine if we really went hard. Imagine if everybody came together. Imagine if just 2 people helped me more on the next one. And so that's what for me, the Black.
Facts. Man, righteous. Man, that's powerful, bro. That's powerful. So speaking on that, moving forward together is as a group and a team, and playing individual roles as a collective so that it's strong. We can go into all different facets of that. And I know you like to talk about the what is it, like tax allocation and trade lines, and we should definitely be looking in that, going to business. I keep saying it. If we had the ability to make corporations like Nike, and we do, the Black Panther plight showed us that. You know what I'm saying? If we can give Disney $3 billion, then we can definitely bring that together for something else more important or something close to it. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, like what can you say? Like how do we get started on that? Like I know you can't give us like a whole plan today, but like if you was like right now, if we were starting a conversation, how people was watching and you was like, look, through the tax allocation, let's not get ahead of myself with the trade lines. How would that play a role? And how can we collectively work our trade lines to where we make more money to do stuff like the tax allocation to build those businesses?
Well, the trade lines and the tax allocation, they work together, and because of business. But a trade line is in the credit world is just an account that you have from a creditor. Now, in the formal or historical context, it's a line of communication between two businesses that that are pretty much stakeholders. Like I would say, I make tires, you fix tires, you fix flats. So it's my interest to give you credit as long as I know that you have the amount of cars coming to you. You have a gas station, I sell gas. You have a trucking company. We all make money off each other. And so all of these things and you see certain people, they try to control the stakeholders. Henry Ford, he went as far as to he bought a town in Brazil because he didn't like Goodyear and he hated the fact that Goodyear was the people who made his tires. He went to Brazil and bought an entire town and that produced rubber tires so that he can produce his own, had rubber trees and he was making his own tires. And he hired his cracker, and his cracker thought he was living in slavery. And he went there and started killing people, cutting hands off, all types of crazy stuff. There's a documentary on it, you can look it up. And it talks about how this dude went to Brazil and tried to make this high go, and he went bananas, and nobody was paying attention to crack over there. And so, what you call it? These are some of the things people do to control, the connections they have to the business to make money across the board. And you will get credit for that, from not credit, but you will get somebody who may see that as a reason to give you a form of credit or give you an item so that you can make money off it. You have a store, I'm gonna give you, product to sell in your store, consignment. So, that's in that sense. Now, tax allocation is the money that's taxed on the revenues. So no matter how you do it, whatever community we say, look, we're saying that anybody who profits on taxes or profits on their money generated as a business, they're going to pay a 2, 3, 4, whatever percent tax. That tax money is going to be used for the development and embedment of that specific place. And that's basically the concept behind taxes. Now, then we create a body of people who would be in charge of that money, which is, the councils or whatever people they call it, the core leaders or whatever. And these people would vote based off of what we say we would want, and they would allocate that money to specific things based off of what, we say they would be, and that's tax allocations. And so in small towns, it's easy to understand. In bigger towns, the bureaucracy gets in, and then you have, micro committees, you have micro agencies, with micro committees, and this turns into just a whole big mess of bullshit. So when you have a place like New York, it takes forever to get certain things done, and we don't see how it works. And then what we do see is our councils running around with $80,000, pay stubs, in cars and houses. We do see politicians doing this. It's like, how long does it take you to move $1 million to a school? You're telling me this money's sitting in this account, and I have to wait till you vote 4 different times for you to take the money that was already said to be used for education to put it to a freaking school. Now in smaller towns, you may not have that issue. It may just be like, so it depends on your, the province or the region you're in on how the tax allocation will move. Now, for a business that's already providing a tax allocated service, then you would actually be applying for a credit. And that's where, businesses like mine fall into. And the concept of not rewriting, but understanding taxes slightly back is like backwards. It's like, all right, taxes are supposed to go to this purpose. It's not getting used for this purpose. So because it's not getting used for this purpose, you can either say, I'm going to still pay my taxes, yes, but I'm going to pay my taxes and put it directly to this purpose. Here's my receipt. I paid my taxes for the year. I fixed the roads in this town. And I did this. I forgot the guy's name, but there's people who do that. We don't get to see them all the time, but there's people who use their money like that. And the city works out deals with them differently than they work out with regular people, because these people money is different. In Detroit, I forgot the name of the white dude who owns like everything in Detroit. He owns the stadium. He's like building the highways. He's like some rich white dude that's like owns everything out there, And so when you move money on that level and you do, you know, community works on that level or projects on that level, the city and the ordinances have to deal with you. You know, the people in charge got to deal with you differently. And so on a micro scale, what I'm, you know, suggesting is something of a similar nature, you know, where we're allocating the money that we would be spending on taxes to go to these educational facilities to support things that we demand in the community. And we're not seeing them being done. And so here's the receipt for my payment to this nonprofit to provide this specific service. And then the nonprofit turns around and says, here's the receipts for the service that we provided. They gave us this money to do educational programs. And look, these are the educational programs.
Righteous. So, wow, man, that's something that we definitely need to get a jump on, bro, in this community. And man, if we can get, yeah, that's how it's an academic, it's a, you know, this fight that we have is definitely through economics, and then of course we can fix our economics if we get our minds right. So speaking of getting our minds right, you know, so a fifth of New York doesn't have their GED, and tell me, you know, your experience with that, like being in New York and like, man, understanding that, like, what does that do to a person? Like, I can only imagine, because like Louisville, one of the struggles with Louisville is that, you know, we're like the perfect balance between big city and small town. You know what I'm saying? So like, we have a lot of big city stuff happening in small, like a small group of people. Like, you know, the West End is a concentrated, little Africa is a concentrated area of black people, and there's a lot of people killing each other down there, and they doing it like across the street. That's the crazy thing. So like, if being in New York and all, you know, that many hundreds of thousands of people without the education, man, how does that affect the city like that, and like the economic growth, and what you, even with you, what you're doing, you know, how is that affecting all of that?
Well, let's be realistic. You know, when they say 1/5, and when the city comptroller put out that the biggest need and the recommendation that he had for the development of Brooklyn was the GED service, and the fact that with 1/5 of Brooklyn not having a GED, you're talking about almost 300, 400,000 people who don't make more than 25,000 a year. And if they do make more than 20, 25,000 a year, it will not be consistently for 2, 3 years and straight. You know, it's in pockets, and maybe this year, the next year's issues, and next year maybe something. And so you have a large amount of people who's not making that money. Then on the internal side, what I see is that when you have people who have a lowly, what's the proper way of saying it? Underdeveloped capabilities and literary skills, that creates the breeding ground for drama. You know, and so like, that's just what it is. You know, if you can't comprehend reading that well and you don't write that well, you won't be able to, you know, verbalize or communicate your own ideas, and you won't completely rationalize ideas presented to you in a certain way. And if you're around a bunch of people, you know, a multitude of people continuously who exchange information in the same way, again, that's creating a breeding ground for, you know, all types of ignorance to happen.
Facts. I always got this saying. I tell people, I'm like, man, only bored people argue. You know what I'm saying? Broke people argue. You know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all was getting it, if y'all had a system together and y'all was working, and y'all was structuring it, not levering what you guys are doing against each other. If you feel like you're doing more than the next, but you guys was taking it all into consideration as a whole, the oneness, then y'all wouldn't be having all that arguing and bickering and all that crazy mess that's going on out here, man. That's crazy. And I hate when I see it in the RBG community or any of that, man, because like, especially when it's the ones that are actually doing stuff, and then they bump heads because of ego, man. That just drives me crazy, yo. Can't stand it.
Yeah. And ego gets in there sometimes. And you know, I guess that would be the next level of it for us having the experience of being able to say, you know, we can argue, you know, but if it's narcissism that's maintaining your position, then arguing, I got my feet up, then arguing may not be the best thing for, you know, that person, you know. But I think this is the perfect times for, like, it's about that work. Like, our generation really came to terms with being about that work. You know, the hip hop industry, the music industry, everybody's about that work. You know, how much are you, how often are you working? What type of work are you putting in? Who are you doing your work with? Who's working for you? Who you working with? All that matters now. All that talking, I don't care about your religious books. No offense, anybody's stuff, but if that's your whole claim to fame, whatever.
Facts. So we got about 10 minutes left. Shakti, you got anything else for Q Butter, for the king?
She there?
Okay, we come back to
Forgive me,
yeah.
forgive
Okay,
me,
we come.
forgive me.
Okay.
I was on mute. Forgive me. I was on mute, but most definitely, we were speaking to I heard Brian speaking to the fact earlier that New York, has a very low rate with GEDs, and I tied that in personally to what's going on here in Detroit. And by the way, those white boys you was talking about, that's Mike Ilitch and Dan Gilbert. They own pretty much all of Detroit. However, the literacy rate in the state of Michigan overall is at a 44%, proficiency level. Within the city of Detroit, there is only a 14, and that makes me emotional. A 14% proficiency rate when it comes to literacy. That means a lot of our children are behind in the educational system that isn't even designed for them to prosper in the first place. So, how vital is it that we definitely not only take part in African-centered education, but push the hell out that thing? Right now, we the current education system has its uses. It has its advantages if you twerk it the right way. However, in your thoughts, being an African-centered educator, right now, how vital is it is that we completely, this is what we need to do. Either get with it or get left behind.
I mean, we pretty much already got left behind. So now we're just trying to, grab some people and move forward. You know what I mean? We already are left behind. We're not in the field. You know, if you go to any, you got to go to certain cities in Africa to see certain types of Black people moving powerfully. And I can't wait to visit Africa in that spots. You can go to certain parts of America and see it, but the majority of us, you know what I mean? You can't find a bunch of Black people that know how to make a circuit in the Black community, that know how to, bore the glass to a microscope. You know what I mean? Like, this is, we got to catch up, B. And if we don't acknowledge that we need to catch up, we never will. And I'm humbled. Like, after this, even more this year, man, listen, we should not be talking about white people right now. I'll be telling people, like, look, the only thing we need to be talking about is reading, mathematics, electricity, understanding physics, just like the flat earth shit. Flat earth is man, listen, that's just running through the Black community. White people can deal with having flat earth arguments. They run science. You know what I mean? The people that believe in the flat earth have nothing to do with the science community. We don't have a science community. We have a conscious community trying to get into stuff. There's no organized Black science community the way we would really want it to see in the conscious community. Nah. So for us to have pseudo information permeating around, for us to have millions of Black people who have a literacy rate below 4th grade, of course those two things correlate together. Of course, the fact that our Black banks are failing because we don't have any businesses who are making millions of dollars in profits, leaving their money in there, of course that relates to education. What kind of business are you opening that makes millions of dollars? Of course it all relates together, and so we know that. And that's why I call it the circuitry of Black power. That we have to fix the entire circuit up. We just can't concentrate on one part. We got to concentrate on the whole circuit. Black schools, Black businesses, Black relationships, Black children, the elders. We got to look at the whole picture and just focus on it, as crazy as it seems, and fix all the pieces together. And whoever's with it's with it. And I know the energy. And sometimes people are like, yo, Q, control your energy. I know the work I'm putting in. So when somebody tell me to control my energy, I'll be ready to, violate. But it's whatever. I understand it. But reality is we got to put more work in. You know what I mean? Like, Detroit is, I can't wait to get into Detroit. That's why everybody you hear over here, I'm always talking about getting into Detroit. But we just got to push. We got to push because nobody else is doing it. If we don't do it, who's going to do it?
And most definitely, Detroit got a lot of things coming up. you know, you got to be involved. We got the you know, it's on a lecture circuit. However, it's in a position to generate a lot of economy around the city from African center standpoint, with the Black Love Extravaganza coming up this July, and also the Core Music Fest, which is the first conscious revolutionary music fest happening up here in October. So definitely, you know, you can
Yeah, I'll
make
be
it up
out there.
here. We got some.
I'm performing at the Core Music Fest.
Yeah, Q
Oh
Brothers on the.
yeah,
Yeah, he's on the lineup.
you on the
Yeah.
ticket? Well, then it's already set
Mhm.
in stone. So before, you know, I know Brian was ready to close us on out. Before we go, you know, you care to drop that info for the event this Saturday, what the location, where they can buy the tickets. You know what I'm saying? The floor is yours. Anything you got left to say? Contact info. Do your thing.
Yeah, hit me up, Q Butter, everywhere, anywhere, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. On the website is xyayx.com. You can find out about all the different services from the music studio, photography, film, community service. Everything we offer on there is IEx Institute is all on the website. Again, if you want to donate, you can go to GoFundMe/IEx Institute. If you're in New York City, we're definitely looking for volunteers. Whatever amount of time you have, please hit us up. If you are an educator or teaching artist and you're fingerprinted, please hit us up. You can email us at the Zyx Institute, THEXYAYX Institute at Gmail. Of course, just put the subject that your email is in reference to. You're hitting me up for credit repair. You can also just go to Q Butter, or you can hit me up at Zyx Institute. And just remember to put what you're hitting me up for in the subject. If you're a homeschooling parent and you need access to IExcel, please, again, same thing, email us at the Zyx Institute or Q Butter. This weekend's event, come with $50 or whatever money you can. You know, anybody that gets the direct deposits from their work, teachers, educators, black police, I don't like y'all, but everybody who got income, we need to come through, support the Black Bank and all the business owners that are progressive and making some change. Come through and support it. And we will be at 1392 Fulton Street in Brooklyn, and right around the corner from Restoration Plaza. So come by. I'm gonna try to have some snacks and, you know, some kind of hors d'oeuvres or something. I will be discussing credit repair, and we have some other people that's gonna be discussing different types of trades. And I'm rather like I'm stock trading and investments, bonds, and all that good stuff. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Try to be fast as possible with it.
So, well, we appreciate you, King. Y'all heard that, family. Y'all gotta be there. If you in the area, get there. It's gonna be dope. I just heard all the information that this brother's dropping, man. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of work to do. We gotta quit sitting and waiting for stuff to happen. Quit talking about it. Start being more active and doing things. King, we appreciate you, bro. It's good to talk to you. Like I said, I'm gonna be getting at you, bro. Shakti, appreciate you and everything you're doing and to get this wisdom and bringing us all together and having us here. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get on out of here. And peace, love, and Black Power, family.
Black Power.
Peace, love, and Black Power. Can't wait to see you in Detroit, King.
Yes, man. Hell yeah. Black Power. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be lit. That music fest is going to be lit.
Yeah, I can't wait. I was talking to the sister yesterday.
Indeed. See y'all soon.
Peace.
All right. Peace.